So welcome to my site, everybody. My name is Paul Smyers. I'm a licensed real estate agent in the beautiful Shenandoah Valley, Virginia. And I want to talk today a little bit about negotiation and price. This is a huge subject in any negotiation about anything with a big price tag. And real estate is so important to understand the whole process because basically, if you like a house that you want to buy, for example, and you really love it, everybody in the whole team wants to come to a win-win situation. The seller wants to have a sale, all the agents want, everything wants to happen in a win-win situation. So what we have to do as a team in a real estate transaction, you got at least a one buyer and a buyer agent, and you have at least one seller and a seller agent. Let's say how that's simple. So we all want everything to happen in a smooth way because a seller obviously wants to sell their property. Otherwise, they wouldn't go through all the trouble and do all that paperwork and everything if they really didn't want to sell their property. So they have a motivation of some kind, and you have to think about that as a buyer and as a seller. If you're a seller, let's say your secret thing that you don't want the buyer to know is that you have a job that starts in 2 months and it's going to pay double what you're getting, and you don't even mind if you lose a little bit of money in your house, you're getting out of there. So that's your confidential information to your seller agent. But what you want to do and your agent wants to do is get the best possible price, even though you're willing to go down a little bit. So along comes a buyer, and the buyer, think about the buyer side. A buyer, if you come to the conclusion as a buyer that, man, I really love that property, I got to have that, and you and your partner or whatever, you want to sign on that line and sign a mortgage and big, huge responsibility for 30 years, whatever, because, man, you really want that property. Otherwise, you wouldn't go through all the process. So we all want to have a win-win situation. Now, as a buyer agent, the buyer agent has to look out for the interests by contract of the buyer. And that means you want to get a really good price. But price is not the only kind of thing that you need to settle on. If you find something that's really ideal, let's say you have a property that you looked all over, you could not find any other property that has a beautiful stream like you always wanted, but it's $10,000 more than you have this idea of what you want to pay. Let's say your budget is $290 and this one is $300 or something, but it's got that stream you always wanted. You have to think about, well, where are you going to find another one and when? You see, so you have a motivation to not just get the absolute bottom lowball number. You have a motivation to get something that is going to make you feel really good, and you're going to live there, enjoy the place for a long time. So, in the long run, $30, $50, $100 or more a month in payment on a mortgage isn't going to be noticed so much. Can you save a coffee a day or something? You see, so you want to come to a win-win situation. So both buyer and seller, as a buyer, you think about, okay, what am I willing to compromise? Okay, there's a lot of things that you can compromise on sometimes when you think about it. I ask people to think about, okay, what is it that you absolutely must have in the property? Okay, it might be the size or whatever, or maybe location. Another thing you must have is, for example, the view or whatever. Let's say you have some other things that maybe it has to be in your budget as well. So there's certain must things that you have. But on the other hand, there's some things that you definitely don't want as well. So you go, well, I don't want a junkyard near me. I don't care even if it's a lowball price. I can afford half the price. I don't want the junkyard or fire station right next to me. You see, so there's some things that you definitely do not want, and there's some things you absolutely must have, and then there's some things that you're, okay, let's compromise a little bit. And one of those things might be the price. Because, like I said, there's value that you put into it. Let's say it's a little bit higher than you want to pay, but is closer to where you work, so you're going to save like 20 minutes each way for every single day of your work life, and it's going to save you a lot on gas and time and everything. You got to think about that as far as part of your negotiation. Now, from a seller's point of view, if I represent a seller, I want to get them the best deal, but the best deal may not be only the price. It may be a time consideration. Let's say somebody offers, hey, I'll give you the top price and even over the price, but you got to wait 2 months because I got to sell this house over here first. Well, as a seller, you might say, well, look, he may be offering a lot of extra money for the price, but I don't want to sit there and pay the mortgage and taxes I got to move here. So you might say, I don't care if he's offering the top price. I need someone who wants to do it fast, you see? So then as a seller, you have to think about, okay, let's say somebody comes in and offers, okay, I'll match your price minus about 10%, but I'm willing to close in 30 days. I'm going to do my own inspection. I got, a cash deal or whatever, fast. And then you as a seller think, well, you know what? It's a little lower than I wanted to accept, but man, I got this great job over here and I got to move. My kids are going to get into the school. Let's do it at lickety split. Let's do it the deal. In the long run, you're going to save money. So the actual final price of your property that you sell for may be so-called lower than what you expected, but the cost savings in your life or this time savings might be totally worth it. The same way from the buyer's point of view. Let's say, look, you got to get in there before the summer ends. Your kids got to get in school, okay? And you don't want to dilly-dally, and you say, look, I'm going to buy that property. It's right near my school, whatever, perfect location. It's going to save me time. I'll give you an extra $10,000. Let's close. Let's do the deal. And then seller's happy, buyer's happy. You see, so there's a lot of thought that you need to put into the whole negotiation price and what is an actual price, because in real estate everything's negotiable. There's no set price. You can't find the average price of your home in Zillow. They're going to say, oh, your home might sell for X dollars. Maybe not. Maybe it'll sell for a lot more. But you got to have an agent on your side who help you figure the value in today's market and position your property for the top dollar. There are plenty of people who are willing to pay if they get the ideal place for themselves. Just like I said, there's a buyer who might say, look, I may be paying a little more than I expected here, but it's got some features that I really love. So they're willing to pay that extra money. And then you as a seller think, well, who is my likely buyer? What is my ideal buyer going to be? Who's going to be the top price, the fastest speed? And think about, with your agent, how are you going to market the property to those kind of people? You see, and it varies considerably depending on where you are and so on. So I hope you think about use some critical thinking and due diligence whenever you buy or sell. And don't expect that if you're going to sell a property that your neighbor in the other cul-de-sac, half a mile away, they sold for X dollars, so yours is going to sell just like that. Not necessarily. Different time, different market, different interest rates perhaps, different buyers. Maybe not. Maybe you'll get more. So time is very sensitive in negotiations. Again, there's many reasons why people might want to sell fast. If they even get a half-decent offer, they're willing to sell fast. So again, contact your broker, your agent who is on your side to think about how you're going to position your offer and how you're going to position your sale so that everybody in the whole thing can come into a win-win, because it's so pleasant when everybody has a win-win. The sellers are happy because they get to go out into their new place, and the buyers are so happy because they get to find their new home and everything. And it's a very pleasant thing to be involved in those kind of transactions. So contact me if you'd like to hear from me, and I pleasant response to everything. I try to respond to everything that I get, all the comments, and I watch a lot of other people's content. So please like and share, and hope to hear from you in the future. Thanks.